Live tonight at Homestead-Miami Speedway for the CORA Championship Online Racing Association Sunday Money Series. As always, live on LSR TV, welcoming you into the broadcast. Myself, Evan Pasoko, alongside Carl Jones for race 5 of 24, the JJN Productions 225. And Carl, this one's going to be a long one, to say the least. 150 laps around the 1.5 mile per lap Homestead-Miami Speedway. So 225 miles before we take the green all the way through the checkered flag tonight. And obviously with a full field as always every week in and week out here on Sunday nights, it's going to be an interesting race to watch for. One of our open set racing, as you were telling me before we went on air, these guys are really fighting some loose handling race cars.
Yeah, they are. But with a loose handling race car, Nathan Sedlick was still able to rip off a 30.999 second lap there for the pole. Michael Churchman wasn't too awful far behind with 31.002. But yeah, this has been watching them out here, and it's really loose coming up off the corners. These guys are getting really, really close to the wall. So these guys are going to really have to be careful, and especially when they're racing side by side anywhere out there, because the car is getting loose and it's just wanting to push straight up into the outside wall.
And this Homestead-Miami Speedway talks some track facts for you right now, as qualifying still has about 2 minutes left in it. A 10-minute closed qualifier session. 2 laps, best one will count as your time. Pretty much all the drivers have logged down their lap. I see 3 drivers that have yet to put down in time. So as we give them an opportunity before we officially announce, again, you mentioned it is Sedlick currently on that provisional pole position, breaking that 31-second mark in the 30.9s. Talk about this Homestead-Miami Speedway, located in Homestead, Florida. Capacity crowd of 65,000 people can pack into here on a race weekend. It's owned and operated by the International Speedway Corporation. Broke ground in 1993, opened in 95. Construction cost at that time of $70 million US. This racetrack has gone over a couple of repaving, which bumped up the banking a couple years back to where it sits right now at the progressive banking, which makes it very interesting. 18 to 20 degrees of progressive banking, so 18 right down on the apron, 20 up against the fence here. So that's going to be something also to look at, Carl, is you're going to see some people maybe taking a little bit of a different line. Everybody has the same strategy overall, but you can work that high side a little bit to your advantage. It'll be really good. One thing that I've noticed is if you're up on the high side, you're able to pinch somebody down if you're battling with somebody there up on that high side, and that can lead for some exciting side-by-side battles when you start to see some of these guys go for some position transfer. So one of the key things you got to look at tonight is you may be able to pass, or rather catch somebody, but passing them is going to be one of the key things you got to focus on. Pretty tough at this racetrack with that outside line being able to battle back.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of pit strategy you're going to be looking at tonight here, but I'm going to guarantee you just about these guys are going to be going in for 4 tires and fuel every time they pit tonight. These guys are going to be eating the tires off here the way they're sliding around. I can guarantee that because, like I said, I've been watching them here in practice, and I think I've seen maybe 3 or 4 cars that really have a good handle. Nathan Sedlick was one of them. Dominic Dyball was the other car out there. He had a really good setup tonight. Everybody else that I've been watching is getting very, very loose. So I see a lot of tires going to the wayside here just by getting the rubber scrubbed off them as they're coming off these turns.
I want to make quick note again, tonight's race is the JJN Productions 225 from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, and we have a couple of monetary donations being made by JJN Productions. $10 going to go to the winner of the race, $10 as well going to go to our second place finisher, $5 up for grabs for the leader at the halfway point in tonight's race, which would be the crossover from lap 75 to 76, $5 to the person who leads at that point, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. And then something that's going to be tabulated post-race is the lowest finisher that is on the lead lap with the fewest amount of incident points will also get a $5 bonus to put in their pocket as they head out of tonight's race. We are out there in the Nationwide, the B cars tonight, and field is on the grid and getting set for 150 miles of battle, so we will run you down through the full starting grid. And Carl, you touched on it earlier, pole position for the driver of the 35, Nathan Sedlick, a 30.999 is going to be starting on pole position. Alongside him is going to be Michael Churchman in second.
Don Stevenson is going to be going off in the number 3 position. Alongside him is going to be Ryan Borges in the 32 car.
Take a look at row number 3, Joel Wood, the number 79 machine is going to be starting inside of that row. That's going to be P5 alongside him. How about Sal Accardi, going to be starting in 6th?
Colton Berkey in the 81, he's going to be starting in the 7th position. Jeffrey Smith in the 25 is going to be running in the 8th position starting up.
Fastest car in qualifying is going to be starting in ninth. That's the number 15, Dominic Dyball. He's on the inside of row number 5, and alongside him, Everett Lane in his Chevrolet. That 24 car is going to round out the top 10.
David Wank is going to be bringing up the 11th position in the number 20 car, Scott Bailey. He's going to be qualifying in the 12th position in the 08.
Dustin Lee going to be piloting the number 50 Chevrolet entry to a 13th position starting spot. Alongside him going to be the number 14, or rather 14th position, going to the number 8 machine. That's Martin Porter.
And piloting the 02 car is going to be Mitchell Reeves. He's going to be starting in the 15th position. Eric Sharp is going to be in the 16th position in the 86.
Nick Doucette pilots that number 51 car to a 17th place start spot. Alongside him, Jason Halverson at 18th.
Brandon Cruz Bonsivice, he's going to be starting off in 19th, and Charlie Starks, he is going to be starting out in the 20th position.
Jacob Nye going to be starting 21st, one of the drivers to keep an eye on tonight, and 22nd, James Brown.
John Pansula and Dale Atkins are going to be rounding up the next row here in the 23 and 24th, respectively.
Dustin Loynes, 25th, 26th machine, or around the 26th position, going to go to the number 92 machine. That's a Chevrolet entry of Jonathan McMahon. We also have James Wilkins, Chad Wilson, 27th to 28th. Patrick Skyhill is on the outside of the chase cutoff as we sit right now, only 4 races into the season. He'll start 29th, last car to take time, 30th starting position will go to Marcus Babb. We also have Damon Gilbert, 31st, 32nd to George Bart, and Tim Johnstone going to be starting in 33rd position. One of the guys to keep an eye on at the back there, Damon Gilbert, did not qualify. He was the 4th fastest in practice. So look at some of those guys that try to fight their way back up through this pack, as we have a long way to go to the checkered flag, 150 laps to get the job done. We're going to see a lot of shuffling, and the question is going to be who will stand on top when it's all said and done. Pace car down, Sedlak is on the accelerator, and we're green flag racing from Homestead-Miami Speedway. The 35 car of Sedlak to lead us down into quarter number 1 as the race leader. The battle going to be for second. Don Stevenson wants it. He'll get it from the 88 of Chersma.
And it's going to be side by side by side by side for the next 3-4 rows back here. Matter of fact, it's going to stay side by side way back into the pack here as you guys head into turn number 2, going down the backstretch here. Nathan Sedlak, he did get a nice start, but he is being followed really close behind right now by the 88 of Michael Church, but Don Stevenson's right there in the 3rd position. Ryan Borges is following him in 4th. Joel Wood in 5th position right now. These guys are only separated by about 4 1/100ths of a second.
We're right on each other's bumper for the top spotter. We were. Don Stevenson was tucked up right behind Sedlak. These two drivers' teammates going to go to the inside is that 47 to Don Stevenson. So the Storm Motorsports gang get the job done early here. They're going to battle it out for the number 1 spot. No challenge from Sedlak as Stevenson is able to get through clear on the bottom. 35 pulls back down in lawn. Gets a little bit of a run off the corner. Nothing that would allow Nathan to challenge back for that top spot. And it's going to be lap 2 when we see the first lead change. Don Stevenson going to go to the point. All of these guys upside in the top 2 spots have put some impressive stats on the board so far tonight. Stevenson, who leads Carl, was 2nd fastest in practice, qualified 3rd, and sits in 1st. And well, Sedlak qualified in the number 1 spot, sits 2nd right now. So that Storm Motorsports game has been so strong all season long to get things kicked off, and they're continuing that so far tonight. 24 car, Everett Lane slow down the back straightaway, got sideways in 1 and 2, took a little bit of a off-road excursion down through the grass.
James Brown getting around sideways. James Brown coming out of the turn sideways there, almost into the wall. Into the inside wall. Just taps it though. Don't look like we're going to see any caution on that.
He's in the grass. That machine has come to a stop. He's going to back it up to keep it out of the fence. But again, he is below the apron, down in the grass. Does the sim automatically throw that caution? Does not appear so, and we will stay green. There are times that race officials will throw a caution flag if it is not automatically triggered, but that is reserved for multi-car incidents. And even though it is James Brown that went around there, 1 car incident, no caution, we stay green. His 00 just now getting up to speed. His leaders are going to be flying through 1 and 2, catching him rather quickly here. So as he's going to be able to get up to speed at a corner number 2, Stevenson and Sedlak will file out of corner number 2. They sit just a couple of seconds behind him, so in not too long, Brown's going to have to be worrying about this lap traffic, or rather the leaders making him lap traffic, putting him a lap down, which is something you don't want to happen early on.
Going back here about 3 or 4 laps, Dominic Dyball in the number 15 machine was on the top of 4 wide there. We were talking about him earlier. He had a really good setup for tonight. He is unfortunately got up there and got into that outside wall. He's got a lot of front end damage here on the outside of this car. He has fallen all the way back now to the 15th position. So the 15 car in 15th position. Dominic Dyball having some early trouble here today.
We're 4 races into this season, and we have had 3 different winners, and all of them right now sit inside the top 4. Not surprising to say that statistic. We are side by side for 5th position. Sal Accardi had it, and David Wink wants it. The number 20 machine up on the outside lane, trying to get the job done. Sal's going to fight back, going down at a quarter number 1, and see that 20 machine be able to get back to the gas. He'll get the run out of 2 and move that 20 machine of David Wink now to P5. But Carl, it's no surprise that these are the guys that are running up front right now. We're working around that lap traffic of the 00, but so far we have seen a handful of winners. Ryan Borges has 1. He sits right now in 3rd. Don Stevenson has 2 so far this year. He sits right now in the top spot on track for a 3rd tonight. And then also Michael Churchma has 1 on the season as well. He sits in 4th position. So, I mean, no matter what car you put him out there, and we've been in 3 cars now this year. This is the 3rd car that we've seen this season so far, rolling into race number 5 tonight. I mean, they're good at every car. They're getting the job done, and they're riding all top 5 right now.
Yeah, taking a look here at the James Brown car, who has now gone a lap down. You were talking about a handful. He has a handful just watching that steering wheel in there as he's coming up off these turns. Well, right there was a really nice turn, but he has been, sawing that steering wheel back and forth, trying to keep that car from coming around on him. He has got a really, really loose setup. Maybe that's something that might come in. Maybe that's something he's going to have to do something about here. First time he gets a chance to get in the pits and get some new tires on there. Maybe do something to put maybe a little bit more bite into the rear end of that car, because it's just not wanting to handle very well. Back up here in the front, though, we have Don Stevenson. He's still up here in the front. I have Nathan Sedlak. I can't talk. At least I haven't punched a chicken yet. Nathan Sedlak, he's sitting here in 2nd place. Brian Borges in 3rd. Michael Churchman sitting here in the 4th position.
We have one guy that's had some pretty major issues here. The number 81 car, Colton Berkey, didn't catch this. Started in 7th position, caught the wall, and somebody was stopped on track. The 15 machine with big trouble as well. Dominic Dyball. This all going on lap number 2. The 81 machine had to avoid him, got into the fence, and after starting 7th, Colton Berkey finds himself as the last car on the lead lap back in 30th spot, nearly 20 seconds off of where Don Stevenson sits right now at the top of the pile.
Trying to take a look back here, see if I can find out what happened to Dominic Dyball, but I'm not seeing anything. I'm just seeing some pretty normal stuff going on around him. I know he's got quite a bit of damage there. That cannot be good for the handling of that car, but as far as where he stopped on the track, I'm not seeing it at the moment.
It happened back on lap 2. There was a slow car up high. Now caution flag gonna fly. Trying to get a number on this one. Oh, it's a big one. The 88 of Churchma's in it. Jeffrey Smith around from P8 up in the middle of the track. Look out. A couple guys gonna barely sneak through that one, and caution is out. Something going down in corners number 3 and 4. Replay going up live now. Taking a look. It all starts down the back straightaway with the number 39 of Sal Accardi. The 20 machine, the 88. Looks like it's the 88 that initiates the contact. Churchma kind of got boxed in there, Carl. Came down a little bit to try to peek out. Hooked the 39 around. The 20 car got spun as well. And then, the 25 machine, an innocent victim of that one. 4 cars involved total.
Yeah, it looks like when Churchma got into the 39 there, it just got him sideways and got him crunched right up against that wall, doing quite a significant amount of damage to both sides of the Churchma machine. That, like we were talking about here at the beginning of the season, as of the end of last season, he had nothing but problems, and it looks like his problems are going to continue tonight.
Leaders coming down pit road, something we should mention also, using the access lane down in 3 and 4. They're going to have to use it to exit in 1 and 2 as well. Not that much of a factor under caution flag conditions, but if we do see green flag pit stops here tonight, that could be something major. And leaders coming down, Don Stevenson, first person to bring him in. Don't anticipate any 2-tire calls this early. You need as much tires as you can get at this very abrasive Homestead-Miami Speedway. The 47 machine, gas, 4 tires go for Stevenson, and he'll be the first one off. The first pit stall does not benefit Sedlak. He will exit 2nd as he entered. Borges 3rd, so no changes inside the top 3, even the top 5. Going to pretty much stay the same besides Churchma, who, Churchma's going to leave 5th as well, so top 5, no changes at all.
Churchman was able to get right in there into the pits along with everybody else. Got his damage taken care of there with his using up one of his resets. One of the things I do not think you want to do tonight is use up that last reset. You want to save that thing as long as you possibly can, because I have a funny feeling that we are going to be seeing a lot of this kind of stuff going on tonight. Probably the best thing that could have happened, though, is Michael Churchman was able to stay up here in the front, not have to worry about dropping back into the middle of this field. where I think that's where the danger zone is going to be most of the night. Although that did take place up here towards the front of the field today, I don't foresee this going to be happening too awful much up front. I think you're going to see a lot more melee, mayhem, whatever you want to call it, here in the middle of this pack.
Well, how about the pit stop there by Don Stevenson? Again, I've said that Nathan Sedlak doesn't gain anything. Leaving second on pit road, this definitely doesn't hurt, but sometimes you'll think that guy that gets the number one pit stall via that pole position is going to be able to give a challenge to whoever he enters pit road behind off, and it was a 13.9-second pit stop for Don Stevenson, and it was a 14.7 for Sedlak, so nearly a second faster was that 47 crew than anybody else. How about the number 26 machine? Did not come down pit road. That is Marcus Babb. He sits out there on the racetrack right now, currently scored in the number one position. Dustin Loynes, Martin Porter are in front of him at a track right now. Both of those cars are one or more laps down. Actually, both of them appear to be one lap down, and they will be getting a wave around by the pace car there. They'll be able to cycle back up to the tail end of this field, and obviously not going to have the benefit of coming down pit road, but they will get their lead lap back, and then hopefully they can get another quick caution, get tires, and then try to make their way back up through the field. But how about this call here, Carl? It's really early on in the race. Marcus Babb, practice 25th, qualified 30th position. He's going to be starting right in front of a very hot Nathan Sedlak and Don Stevenson. Those guys have been really fast all season long. Borges as well. And after qualifying in a 30th position car, do you think that 26 is going to be able to hold his own at own here on no tires, or is this going to get ugly real quick?
Well, they've only got about 13 laps on their green, so I don't see that the Berkey painting and sandblasting car here of Marcus Babbs is going to be in too bad a shape. I think it might have been kind of a gutsy call, but I think he'll be all right here beginning of this. We'll have to see. Like I said, they've been slipping and sliding around out here. Maybe he feels like his car is got the tires on him to be able to handle that, and he wanted to get that thing out of the back of the pack there and up to the front, and that's the only way he could have done it right now this early in the race is to not pit.
Lights are off at a pace car. How about a quick shout out to all those Storm Motorsports, the Vortex Motorsports cars as well. LSR TV rocking on the quarter panels of those machines. Like to see that out there on track. Those two teams are affiliated, Storm and Vortex directly. So you see Borges in the Vortex machine, and then you have the Storm Motorsports entries, the 47 to 35 on the inside row. Going to make up about 75% of this top four right here. Let's see what Marcus Babb can do. He elects to take the outside as we roll through quarter number 4. Pace car going to dive down to the safety of pit road right there. How long does the 26 hesitate as a control car? He's off after about a second, and green flag back in the air tonight. The 47, no challenge for second. Don Stevenson going to get that. Borges not really too fast on that outside lane. Here comes the 35 of Sedlak for third.
Really good restart there by Marcus Babb starting on the outside like that, but I don't think that's going to hold too awful well, because he did, as you see, come off the turn there. He's sliding up the 47, is able to get down below him. Looks like Don Stevenson's going to go ahead and make that pass pretty easily. Looking down below him also is going to be Ryan Borges. Nathan Sedlak, it looks like Marcus is just going to go ahead and get freight trained now, as the entire field is now looking to the inside of his car. He's going to settle in probably, it looks like, maybe around 5th or 6th position by the time this is all said and done. Maybe he can stop the bleeding there. Joel Wood is going to kind of fall back and let him fall down in line here and not try to make that pass right this early.
That 26 going backwards, 79 to the inside. That's Joel Wood. He is going to the inside. That's turn 3. You see the 26 tries to battle back, but on those old tires, and again, even though it was about 12 laps, just can't get back to the throttle. How about the 51 machine? Just nearly went all the way up to the fence there. It's not the 51, it's 68 of Damon Gilbert. It really drove it in there hard in 3 and 4, and slid way up the hill. He'll now try to make a move. That 26 machine, it's going backwards, Carl, but I mean, he was 30th position, so as long as he doesn't slide back to 30th, I guess it's a win in some regard.
Oh, absolutely. As long as he doesn't go all the way back to the back of the pack, which it looks like he may do, because every time he gets in the turn there, he's just sliding up the track, and everybody's able to get down underneath him here. Taking a look now at the 79 Joel Wood Dyewear car. Wood Wrench has got all new paint schemes out there with the camouflage look. These cars are looking absolutely spectacular out there, and they're also sporting the LSR TV. So Joel Wood right now, he is the best out of the Wood Wrench team right now, sitting up here in the 5th position. As we go back up here to the front, take a look and see what Don Stevens is doing. He looks like he's just going to be riding along here. Car looks like it's handling beautiful, nice steady hand on the wheel going into the turns there.
We currently sit 29 guys remain on the lead lap. Still young into this race, lap 20 now in the works. That time by the start-finish line. It was Sedlak who led the first one, and since then it has been the Don Stevenson show. The 35 of Sedlak has not dropped far off, but you can't count out Ryan Borges. Has only been knocking off consistent finishes. Finally made it to victory lane last week in race number 4, and is currently the overall points leader as they run right now. But again, that kind of irrelevant because, again, we will trim this field down to 12 drivers who will have the opportunity to battle for the championship when that chase cutoff is made later on in the season here. That cutoff right now has Everett Lane in by 3 points over Garrett Atwell. That's the difference between 12th and 13th position in the points. Again, still young, so kind of irrelevant, but just something to keep an eye on as we progress through the season here, to keep an eye on who is back in that range. We have a side-by-side up inside the top 10. The 50 Dustin Lee going to get the spot from Damon Gilbert. Gilbert on the inside, kind of slowed down, let him go, and then the 50 machine actually caught the wall where that safer barrier jets out down into the corner. He's going to slide high side-by-side behind them. The 51 and the 86 going at it as well.
Damon Gilbert is our biggest mover so far of the race. He has moved all the way up from 31st position. He did not even take a time out there. He is now running up here in the seventh position as the 92 car gets into the wall.
Yeah, Jonathan McMinn got in there a little bit hot in 3 and 4. He rode the wall through the corner. That's going to cost him a lot of time, and he will slide back to P27 as they run right now. That's back of the pack. Still going at it. The 68 machine, who had just let Dustin Lee go, is now going to take that spot right back. Damon Gilbert with the pass. The 86 still trying to make some move. Eric Sharp going to drop back in line.
Taking a look way back here in the pack, I'm looking at the 54th. He's going to be our in-race reporter tonight. The 54, Brandon Cruz Montevich in the Small Town Computers car. He's running right now in the 20th position. He started in 19th, and he only had a 14th fastest in practice today. So his car is not very fast, but he's always told me that he likes to start mid-pack to the back. That way, I don't know, I don't understand that one, but he seems to enjoy it. He likes to start there and see how far he can make it back up to the front of this field. Right now, he fell back 1 position. Like I said, he started in 19th. He's now up to back to the 20th position, not up to anything. And behind him right now, we got a nice side-by-side battle with James Wilkins and Michael Churchman. Michael Churchman's on the inside here. He's going to take a nice and easy as he's going to actually go ahead and make this pass stick.
Well, I said when we went through the grid that one of the cars you got to keep an eye out for is Jacob Nye. Started back in 21st position, sits 5th right now. No, he did not take any sort of tire strategy. He went with 4. He has driven that car up 16 positions to the top 5 where he sits right now. He's sandwiched right now in between Joel Wood and Damon Gilbert. These guys have really been on each other's bumper the last few laps. Nobody's quite looked to make a pass yet. The 58, or 68 rather, thinks about it at corner number 2. Can't get the job done and will stay in line for the moment. But lots of battling going on throughout the pack. The closest one up inside the top 5 is for second, as Ryan Borges has been able to get that one from Nathan Sedlak as he tries to put that 32 machine up front, continuing his charge for the top spot.
I think Jacob Nye's secret here is he wants to win some of his money back that he's donated into CORA for tonight's race, because he's the one who actually donated the JJN production money here, the $30 total. And I think that's a big part of why you're seeing him wanting to run up here in the front. He wants his money back.
A little bit of extra incentive. You get some of the money that you donated back, plus the payouts for these top finishing positions as well. Cash that in tomorrow night.
Up here in the front, Don Stevenson has taken out a nice lead here. Now he's up to about a half-second lead over Ryan Borges, Nathan Sedlak. Joel Wood, he is falling way back now. He's still sitting here in the 4th position, but he is 2 seconds back behind the lead pack here. The lead 3 cars have pretty much checked out on him. Another second back, we're looking at Damian Gilbert, then Dustin Lee. George Barks, he has moved his way up to the 7th position from 32nd. Nicholas Doucette, he's sitting here in the 8th position now, and he is 3.93 seconds back from the leader. Jacob Nye has slipped all the way back here to 9th position just in the last couple of laps as we were talking about him.
Yeah, George Bark, another one of the cars that I said keep an eye on, was 4th fastest in one of these practice sessions here. That was somebody else, but George Bark was right there as well and started 32nd. Him and Damon Gilbert were the 2 that I said that we had to keep an eye on, Carl. They started 31st and 32nd. They sit 5th and 6th, respectively. So great drives by those guys. Yeah, again, Jacob Nye talked about him. He's gained quite a substantial amount of positions. Patrick Skyhill started 29th. He's 15th. Starting 20th was Charles Starks. He's 12th. So we got a lot of guys moving up through the field, but with that means we got a lot of guys going backwards. And one of those guys, again, Salicardi, was caught up. We got a car
the
around
25 car sideways.
That is Jeffrey Smith. The Fast Lane Racing Chevrolet is around. You said it there, Carl, at a corner number 4. Caution flag will fly for this incident, and looks like the 25 just had a self-spin coming off the corner. 20 car did a good job of getting around him, but no contact. 25 went around, and nobody else involved. One car incident. That way, that machine came to a stop above that apron line, so we do get a caution. We'll slow him down once again, just shy of lap 30.
Yeah, that was a close call there by the 20 car, though. He got really close to getting into the slowing car of the 25 of Jeffrey Smith as Jeffrey went around there. I thought for sure he was going to collect him, but he didn't touch him. It looks like he just got into the turn there as the replay is up now. He just got into the turn there and just got loose, just like I said these guys were tonight. They were loose, and that's exactly what happened to Jeffrey Smith there. He just got into the turn, got loose, turned it sideways. The 20 car just about collected him, but everybody was able to get through that clean. It was just a one-car spin.
The next race that you will see here with the CORA Sunday Money Series is going to be round 7. That one going to be from the Michigan International Speedway once again in these NASCAR. Yes, we have to call them the Xfinity Series now cars, the B cars on iRacing, going to be coming up again. And this race was originally scheduled as our leaders hit pit road to be the super late models at Iowa via the back-to-back with the super late models at Richmond 1 week ago. That has now been changed, which will affect the car points as well, Carl, because I know with every car that we do, we alternate between the trucks. We had 1 in the super late model. Now we're going to have 4 races in a row with the B car as opposed to the 3 as it was originally scheduled. There are individual point championships per car that we run, so this change is going to throw a little bit of a curveball into that as well. Now we're not halfway through the season, so not that big of a difference, but you got one more race if you're trying to get the B car championship as well. 47 in off, no issues. Don Stevenson, the first car to pit road.
So being that they only had 2 races set up for the late models, the super late models this season, and they only ran one of them, does that mean that we already have a late model champion?
Well, Borges got that checkered flag, and he'd been running solid in the trucks as well. Gonna double check the schedule to see if we do have any more super late model entries in the season. There's a lot of trucks, B car, Gen 6. There is one other super late model race, Carl, that will determine it. That's going to be in the 5-race chase, which will feature 1 race in every vehicle that we run. So if you're unfamiliar with the way it works, you can check out the whole schedule as well, CORA-racing.com. That's C-O-R-A, CORA-racing.com. The 5-race chase, the vehicles that we're going to be running throughout the season, going to be the super late model, the Indy cars, the B cars, the trucks, and the Gen 6. We've seen the trucks. We've seen one of now what's only going to be 2 super late model races, the B cars as well, for these next 4. So Borges does not have it locked up because he's going to have to survive to race number 20 to be able to get in that one if he wants to get that individual car championship, which will give him a little bit of a payout as well.
Speaking of Ryan Borges, he just sitting up here in the 2nd position. He's right behind Don Stevenson as they get ready for this restart here. A couple more laps to go before they go back to green. They're still not doubled up yet, so that's just showing that they are still under pacing laps. They are not ready to go back green yet. As soon as the pace car lights go out, they will be on their last lap. And
how about our update on the rundown of our finishing order from last week? We have the opportunity under the caution flag conditions right now. Again, that one was the super late models at Richmond, one of only 2 now super late model races in this CORA season. And it was, as we said, Ryan Borges was able to take home the checkered flag in that one, just over Nathan Sedlak. We're starting to see a trend here, Carl, with the Stevensons, Borges, the Sedlaks, and those names that we see up front week in and week out. It was Sedlak that caught 2nd. Martin Porter would come home with a 3rd place result. Nick Doucette was in 4th. David Wing 5th. Everett Lane 6th. George Park 7th. Scott Bailey in 8th. Mitchell Reeves 9th. And Chad Wilson would round out the top 10. So, even though the season's still quite young, race 5 here tonight, so almost a 5th of the way through this thing, there's a lot of guys, and you can qualify in, week in and week out. You get to qualify. Anybody can be out here on track next week. If you're watching, you want to do one of the qualifiers this next week, you could be on track, at Michigan in 1 week's time. But I don't think it's a surprise that we're seeing a lot of these names up front because these guys have been with CORA for a while. They know how to work around these different cars, which is very difficult to do, to be able to swap between machines week in and week out and still be competitive in them.
And they're double back up here, heading down the backstretch, getting ready to go into turn number 3 and 4, and they will be going back to green as soon as the pace car gets down off the racetrack, gets out of the way there, and gets himself into safety. But as I was saying before, Ryan Borges, he is on the outside before my finger slipped. I can't talk either now. At least I'm not punching chickens. But
exactly. I was going to say, as long as you don't start punching your chicken, you're doing better off. Well, we're going to get another crack at it here, another restart. Going to be coming up, and it is the 32 and the 47 on the front row. Don Stevenson, control car, going to hold him up a little bit. Borges got a nose out in front of him, and he is forced to check out back underway, and that's going to give Stevenson a great run. He's going to bring Nathan Sedlak through with him as well, and a 47 to 35 get a return to holding those top two spots. First side-by-side battle, the 51 of Nicholas Doucette going to take 7th from that number 50 of Dustin Lee. And now Joel Woods slow off the corner, going to get passed by the 68 of Damon Gilbert. George Bark to the inside. Oh, 79's to the wall.
79's at the wall. Let's see what happened back there with him. I don't think any caution is going to come out there. I just, as I was riding along here with the 51, I seen Joel Wood just sliding along the wall up there, and sparks flying, rocks flying, everything flying up there, and he wasn't. He was going pretty slow, but he's dropped all the way back here to the 27th position. Now quite a good bit of damage here on the right-hand side of his car. Trying to see exactly what happened there as the replay goes back up. It looks like he just got loose coming out of the, going into the turn, actually. That's kind of an odd place to get into the wall, but yeah, going into the turn, he just hit the bump coming out of 2 there and just put him directly up into that wall, caved in the entire right-hand side of that car, and also dropped him all the way back to the 27th position. So he's going to have to get in there and get some repairs done on that car so he can get back out here and see if he can
81 car around in corner number 2. He's down on the apron. Caution flag will fly. That is Colton Berkey. Back end damage on that Monster Energy Chevrolet Camaro. Caution will fly. Quick note on the trouble there that we were discussing on Joel Wood's machine. That's about the second or third time, Carl, we've seen somebody. They're on the high side, and George Bart made move to the outside just a little bit. They were side by side, and I think Joel was trying to give him more room. And the way that safer barrier jets out, just grazed it, and the wall almost sucks you in the sim, and he got stuck on the fence. The 81 car is what is going to be the cause of the caution. Again, that was Colton Berkey down in the corner. He got sideways, tried to hang on to it, slid right up in front of one of the fast cars tonight. The 88 of Michael Churchman going to get some damage. 81 is the one that went around to bring up the caution, and we return to caution flying conditions.
Not a lot of damage there to the front of the Churchman vehicle there. He just kind of tapped the rear end of him, which helped get the 81 completely around. That's the 81's second time getting into some trouble out here today in that Monster Energy drink car, but hopefully Colton Berkey here can turn his night around and get back up here to the front, because he had a really strong car here earlier on this afternoon in practice. He actually was running, I think, 13th fastest in practice, and he did have a 7th place qualifying. So yeah, it'd be nice to see if Colton Berkey can get that car back in and get some repairs done on it and get it back up here to the front, because he has moved himself from the back to the front twice now. Well, this will be the second time if he can do it. He did it once already in his first spin. Let's see if he can do it the second time.
We're a quarter way through tonight's CORA Sunday Money Series race, and we're going to take a moment for our first caution flag of tonight. Going to step away for a commercial break. When we come back, more action from Homestead. You're watching the JJN Productions 225 with CORA on LSR TV.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Back live to Homestead-Miami Speedway, playing host to tonight's race 5 with the CORA Championship Online Racing Association Sunday Money Series, getting set for another restart. Coming off of a caution flag, going to be lap 41 when we take the stripe this time by the 47-35. The Storm Motorsports teammates once again going to be making up the front row. That's Don Stevenson and Nathan Sedlak. Evan Pasoko, Carl Jones up at a broadcast booth with you here tonight, and back underway. And you can tell those guys were talking over there too, Carl, because those teammates went on instant with each other, and they're going to pull away into 1 and 2.
And we just noticed here the first car to retire today and put behind the wall and go home is going to be Martin Porter as he parks the number 8 vehicle. Not sure exactly what happened there with him, but I heard them say over the air that he was being asked to park the car. So Martin Porter would be the first car out of the race tonight.
And again, race control letting them know that if their car is damaged to a point where they would deem it unfit to continue under raceable conditions, they would request for that machine to be parked. And believe I heard some radio transmission in regard to that. So that machine is behind the wall. It is the first machine out of tonight's race. Everybody else still on the lead lap. 15 laps down is Martin Porter. 32nd position on back is still in tonight's action. Tim Johnston is the last car on the lead lap as they run right now. But those guys up front there, Carl, they're really pulling away. Stevenson and Sedlak, and the 68 drove it way high. Damon Gilbert had just made that pass on Ryan Borges, and now the 32 back to the bottom. Going to be at it side by side. That's for P3.
42 car looked to try to make it 3 wide there, thought better of it as Ryan Borges is going to head back down the inside of the 68 machine. He's been running 2 wide here ever since the start of this race, fighting for that position. Now he's going to lose another position now to the George Bark machine, the number 42 Red Bull cars. He's going to make an outside pass here on Ryan Borges. Ryan Borges is starting to lose some ground here for some reason. He was running really well earlier on. Now the 50 car is going to make it 3 wide as we go into turn number 1.
These guys really fighting for it. That's the 50 of Dustin Liga. Look at the run now. The 51 of Nicholas Doucette to the bottom. 3 wide. Down the back. Again. Straight away. Does somebody lift? Do we race it all the way out? The 51 is going to be the one to back out of it. Nicholas Doucette went to make the move. He drops back in line. That will return us to 2x2 conditions. 32 of Borges just can't get back to the gas there. 50 machine's going to clear him. Oh, a bobble, and now in the wall is Damon Gilbert. Gets low and out of the way, but he got loose there, Carl, as you said, and you've been talking about the loose conditions, walked it up the hill and the fence. He's able to hang on. He's better off than we've seen some of the guys that have found the fence tonight, but he will slide back in behind the 0-2 of Mitchell Reeves to P10.
I'll tell you what, these Storm Motorsports boys have this figured out. Don Stevenson, Nathan Sedlak, they have checked out. Once again, they're up to a 1-second lead over George Barks, Dustin Lee. Ryan Borges, he has fallen all the way back to the 5th position after running in 3rd. Nicholas Doucette, he's moved himself up quite a few positions. He's up to 6th after running around the 8th position earlier. Ryan, where am I at here? Oh, I was on the Michael Churchman car. I lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that. He's running in the 88 car there in 8th position in the Vortec machine.
Still a lot of shuffling.
Caution
trouble.
on the track
the 01
again.
machine. Caution is out. John Pansula around, a couple others in it. Still wrecking in 3 and 4. We got the 01. The 96 is slow. Caution is out. We heard John Pansula cue up over the radio on our end of things, but he was not the cause of the incident. It is the 00 who got it all rolling there. James Brown coming off the corner. 21 machine just drove him into the fence. Thought that he may have been clear, and that is the 21 of Jason Halverson. James Brown had nowhere to go, went into the wall, was able to keep it back going, but the checkup behind him, 79, got into the back of the 86. 86 turned that 01 car around. John Pansula, who nearly blew over. Replay going live now. The 01 goes up, collects the 25 machine. We had a couple other cars pick up some damage in this one as they went down into the corner. The 2 car going around as well. The 3 car with some damage. A couple more. A hard lick there at the 92 of Jonathan McMinn. And it's that chain reaction. Not the initial car getting loose, the initial save, but it's everybody being so tightly packed together, coming right off of a restart. All those guys there, and again, back to caution we go.
Yeah, you had 2 or 3 cars just kind of checked up there to try to avoid James, as James did get pushed up there into the wall, and as everybody else checked up, the guys behind him did not see what was going on and just piled in one right after another off of each other there, and that's what caused all that melee there on the backstretch. But yeah, exactly, that's exactly what it was, though. It was all just a chain reaction. There was nothing that anybody could do.
And we slow them back down once again. Tonight's race is a 150-lap affair. We are just shy of the 50-lap point, so just about a third of the way through this thing. Again, we have talked about the amount of cars that have remained on the lead lap. The 2 of Chad Wilson, he will fall 1 lap down after being involved in that incident. A split decision on the pit lane this time by. Top 3 stay out. Dustin Lee, the first car in from 4th, completely the 50's in his stall at like a 45-degree angle. Not sure if that's the most conventional way to get the job done, but Dustin Lee nonetheless is in for service, along with pretty much all the cars that were running behind him on track. A couple more going to stay out, but for the majority of it, everybody down pit road.
As I'm going down pit road here, I'm taking a look to see who's taking what. It looks like everybody's going to go ahead and take 4 tires in here. Brandon Cruz Bonsavides, he was in. He got 4 tires along with the 00. James Brown, after tagging the wall there, he's got 4 tires. Got his car fixed. He's back out on the track. Michael Churchman, he got 4 tires also. Also did Damian Gilbert. He took on 4 tires, and Dominic Dyball in the Dyware car. He took on 4 tires. So pretty much the same all on here. Everybody took 4 tires and fuel.
And we're going to now take this opportunity to try to queue up our in-race reporter on the radio. Brandon, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Well, we are just about a third of the way through this thing here and have had a handful of cautions so far to this extent in the race. How are you liking it right now? You had a top 20 qualifying spot. You just now left pit road on that cycle there. Looks like you're working a little bit of damage on that machine as well.
Yeah, just got around 44 seconds of damage left. I guess I already used one of my resets earlier in the race. The racing right now is really fun. There's a lot of guys that have fast setups, and the racing's really good right now, at least from my point of view. I'm just hoping I can get the small town computers machine a good finish with this damage.
Yeah, you're going to have to work over a two-thirds of the race through with that damage as you guys go back green here. So we'll let you race it out, and we'll catch up with you later.
Thanks, Evan.
Underway we go. That was a quick update with our in-race reporter, driver of that number 54 car, who's going to be mirrored back in the middle of the pack. No difference. We've got one car that is slow on the bottom, the 16 of Jacob Nye off the corner. Real slow as he got sideways. He's able to get back up to speed, but that's one of the guys that was doing a real quick work of getting through the field.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened there. I think it was just another one of those cases where he just got loose and was able to catch it, got down there low so he could try to keep it out of trouble, and now he's got it back up to speed. Looks like he's going to fall back in around here in the 13th position. No harm, no foul. I don't think anybody touched him, so he's in pretty good shape back up here at the front, though. We do have Don Stevenson, once again, Nathan Sedlak and George Bark. They're the top 3 drivers right now. They are only separated by about 0.6 of a second, so these top 3 guys are looking once again like they're going to want to check out on this field.
50
and
cars!
The 50 cars.
Justin Lee in the wall is the 02 machine. Out of the corner and out of nowhere. 3 wide, trying to get around. This is a mess. with the 50 and the 02 slow. Dustin Lee just got loose, got into the 68, the 02 car, an innocent one in that one. Mitchell Reeves hit the fence, and we're still 3 wide, trying to get around these guys. That quickly, that thing snapped loose on him.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier, though. These guys are really loose coming off these corners, and that's exactly what you're going to see when they get loose. It's not going to. There's no warning, man. They just take off on you. The rear end just breaks loose. You start spinning those back tires, and you're done for. You're just going to go around. Luckily, nobody was getting. Luckily, nobody got into the Dustin Lee number 50 car there as he got loose. And it looks like he's going to be able to up here and make some more passes and try to get that thing back up to around mid-pack where he was running earlier.
It's been a night of guys that have charged through the field and dropped back through. There's been guys that have dropped back and have charged back through. I mean, a lot of guys right now working on different sorts of races. Some of them looking on the upside, some of them on the downside, but nonetheless, it's making it exciting up inside of these top spots. Meanwhile, it's been the Stevenson Sedlak and Borges show. Well, it's the guy that qualified 32nd who's trying to spoil the party. The Red Bull Racing entry, that Chevrolet, the number 42 of George Bark, has been able to move up. He is right now in the number 2 spot. He won the season opener at Daytona. Is trying to get back to victory lane. 47 overdrives the exit. There he goes. He's going to be at it for the top spot. To the inside goes George Bark.
George Burke got that Red Bull car on rails right now as he's able to keep that thing down on the bottom there as he's going into turn number 1 and was able to get underneath Don Stevenson for the lead. And Don Stevenson not wanting to sit around in second place. Looks like he's going to get right up on that back bumper. See what kind of draft he can get off of him. And nothing happening there because George Burke, like I said, he is on rails on the bottom. That is the best place to pass at this racetrack. It's kind of tough once you get up the top. Looks like Don Stevens is going to take another look to the inside. You're going into turn number 1.
And George Bark is going to be able to get that spot. The challenge from the 47. Successful initially to the high side, and it's not going to be enough. A new race leader. Give it to the 42 of George Bark. How about that for one of our hard chargers so far? Plus 31 positions since the start of the race. Again, we are now a third of the way through, closing in on the halfway point, which again, want to remind everybody, a couple of monetary prizes going to be handed out thanks to JJN Productions. They're making donations. 10 to the winner, 10 to second place, $5 to the lowest finisher on the lead lap with the fewest amount of incident points, but the one that I'm alluding to is a $5 bonus to whoever leads at the halfway point. Now, the trend so far will say that we are not going to go more than 10 laps under green flag conditions. That's the way the stints have been divided up so far. George Bark wants to see it go green so he can get that money in his pocket at the halfway point, but I'm impressed. Don Stevenson's not let that 42 get away, only about a half a car length back off of him that time by the stripe.
Back here looking at the LLR car of the Scott Bailey right now as he's being challenged by James Brown back here for the 13th position. James Brown thought better of it, decided he's going to pull it back up there right in behind as the 81 car. Now Colton Berkey is making his way back up to the field after his issues that he had earlier. Like I said, he was running good earlier. Just got into, had a couple little issues there where he got the car around backwards twice now. And looks like he's going to try to make a charge back up through this field as he makes it back up here now to the 15th position.
It's all about damage control for some of these guys. You slide back, you try to recover, or for some people like George Bark, you start at the back and you move your way through. 42 did not get the exit at a 2 that he wanted, and Don Stevenson going to go to the inside. We're going to be at it door to door now for the top spot in the 3 and 4. The Red Bull Racing entry of Bark up on a high side, trying to get back to the gas before the 47. Ken George is going to have the run off the corner. Not enough, and a power move by the Storm Motorsports entry of Don Stevenson. He'll have it at the stripe. He'll get cleared down into 1, and now his teammate literally all over the back of the 42.
We got caution on the
flag
track.
Will fly. 24 car, no, Everett Lane's going to go around. The Fast Lane Racing entry is sideways, pointed the wrong direction on the front straightaway, and not the first time tonight. Carl, he made an aggressive move to the inside and a self-spin. Going to do it for that 24 car.
Once again, he just got it loose there. Looks like he got about 3 or 4 cars that did get into him there as he got around.
His teammate, too.
Yeah,
25, his teammate got in it.
That was his teammate, the 25 there that did get into him. That was the 25 of Jeff Smith as he got himself around there. lots of damage now. Taking a look here to the front end of the Everett D Lane machine. It looks like the left front quarter panel is crushed in on that left front tire, so he's going to have to get into the pits here, get that fixed, or he's going to have himself a blowout. That's something you don't hear a lot about on iRacing is blowouts, but it does happen. And still haven't figured out what it is. Maybe the tire, maybe a tire being rubbed by a fender will cause it. I haven't seen one happen yet, but it'd be interesting.
And now we're going to him back down pit
Wholesale
road,
pit
led by the 47 of Don Stevenson. Again, everybody is using the access road in 3 and 4, which is the proper pit road entry procedures to get down. I want to see if Nathan Sedlak can do anything with that number 1 pit stall. George Bark, he's way down. The second stall on pit road, he may be leaving while we still got cars coming down pit road. That's something to keep an eye on for the Bark camp. But Sedlak with that number 1 pit stall, typically that driver will have the ability, or rather, a possibility to gain some spots on that scoring loop. You just drop the clutch, go, and may be able to pick up a position on some of these other guys. We'll see. The 88 overdrives his stall a little bit. That's Michael Churdsma. Looks like 4 tires throughout the pack. Where is George Bark compared
He's
to
on his way.
else? Look at the 47. Don will take the top spot. George Bark just able to hang on to second over Sedlak, so no changes.
So George Bark's in. Got 2 tires on that car there, I believe. But I'm looking at it here. It looks like, George Bark, he only took 2 tires on that stop there. So George Bark wanted to get back up here in the front. He thinks his car is handling good enough to take 2 tires. Scott Bailey also taking 2 tires on that stop there. And where did that set him out on this racetrack?
Yeah, the 08 car going to do a 2-tire call, which right now has him in 11th. He was running in 13th position, so not sure if Bailey will have anything to benefit from that one, but nonetheless he gets the trick done. The 47 of Don Stevenson, the first car in and out. It was a 4-tire call for him, also 4 tires for George Bark, and the 35 at Sedlak. It's actually showing Sedlak in front of George on the racetrack right now. That was a dead heat coming to the scoring line there between those two. And I had initially thought that George had gotten it, but very clearly, to my mistakenness, it was Sedlak who was able to get second, despite the fact that George was able to pull in front of him. And that was slow for George. He'll get a 15-second 4-tire stop, so not what that 42 camp was looking for. That's probably the primary reason why he'll slide back to third. Taking an update on some of the guys that are off of the lead lap. First car off the lead lap, the 24 of Everett Lane. He's 2 laps down, along with Eric Sharp. Those guys off the lead. 8 laps down is Chad Wilson in 31st. And then you have Jonathan McMinn, who is, his car is still down on pit road. He's currently being scored 14 laps down, and with the most recent build, the car will stay on track even if he's not, and that machine is empty, which means Jonathan McMinn is not in the car. He may be roaming around somewhere in the infield getting something to eat here, but he is not in his car. So a DNF, but he's not actively on the racetrack. He's 32nd, and then again, Martin Porter has brought it behind the wall in 33rd.
He's trying to find your chicken.
Yes. Again, you have to own the chicken, though, for those that don't know. I'm sure you've seen the chicken running around on the screen. That Laura's been so dedicatedly and has made a specific animation. If you don't know, feel free to watch the iSuper Speedway broadcast on the live sim racing YouTube
It's
channel.
not them.
And somebody else
can
could have punched their chicken
that one out.
Their ticket.
And it looks like our listeners have seen the chickens, because it looks like Hoosier Man there said he saw the chicken earlier. So maybe we'll have to do something with that chicken one of these days here. Maybe we can figure out some kind of a prize we can give out for somebody that spots the chicken.
This would be interesting. Interactive again. And you said it there, Carl. We are keeping an eye on the active comments. Everybody on the live stream right now. So if you have any sort of question that's relative and we can answer it, go for it. Pace car is off, and it is going to be Don Stevenson in control once again. Green flag back in the air. We're going at it. Not really a great start for the 35 of Sedlak. That's going to open up the door for George Bark, who wants to battle for that number 2 spot.
Don Stevenson, however, did have a great start there as he just pulled it straight down to the inside and was gone. He pulled out a really quick 0.2 of a second lead there on the rest of that pack, and that was pretty impressive. Don't know exactly what happened with Nathan Sedlick. Did get passed now by George Barks. George Barks made it into the second position. George is looking a little bit loose there coming off that turn, but he's able to get in and keep her going straight there. Nathan Sedlick is breathing down his throat, wanting that position back.
Side by side behind them, the 20 of David Wink, the 51 of Nicholas Doucette battling it out for the number 4 spot. Right behind them, Borges is going to pick up a spot on the 08 of Scott Bailey, who's sitting on that 2-tire strategy, who restarted in the number 6 spot. Stevenson well out in front of the battle between Bark and Sedlak for second. Still going at it. Now the 51 will slide back and give P4 to that 20 machine. Give it to David Wink. Checkup going on back in turn 3. We're 3 wide. The 60 car is slow up on a high side. That is Patrick Skyhill. He got sideways rather than the car in front of him got sideways. James Brown, great job of driving by that 60 car to get on the brakes at a corner number 4. Stay out of an incident. It does cost him some position. 26 going to take advantage and pick up a spot. And that's
real close quarters there with the 26 and the double zeros. They just about touched coming down the backstretch there. But yeah, I was riding along with James Brown as he was coming out of the turn there, and he is just fighting that steering wheel. Real loose conditions in that car. So his pit crew has not been able to tighten that car up for him here as of yet. So looks like James is going to need a few more pit stops to try to get that car as the 26 car is around. 26 car is around down on the grass. One car incident, spun by himself.
And he does a relatively good job. He had some help. The 60 car gone into him and saved it once, went down and saved it twice. He'll keep it going, no caution, and Marcus Babb requesting over the radio that race control take a look at that. So he's not happy with the way that went down, and he did have some help. I believe it's incidental contact. That is Patrick Skyhill, who started back in 29th to work this way up through the field, sits 19th right now. He, as we run, sits on the outside of the chase cutoff by about 50 points. Again, still young in the season, but you know that Skyhill's looking to knock off some solid finishes, Carl, so he can get back on the positive note of that cutoff between 12th and 13th because he wants an opportunity to battle for a championship.
Yeah, that Patrick Skyhill not making any friends here this season, as last week, as you remember, he caused a couple of big incidents in the super late model race, and once again today now, getting into the quarter panel there, Marcus Babbs, getting Marcus Babbs spun around. So, the Skyhill car, he's just not a very popular driver right about now. I've heard a lot of people, as I've gone through the garage area, talking about him, just not very happy with what he's doing out there on the racetrack. Over-aggressive driving. Yeah, you want to be aggressive, but I mean, you're only 70 laps into a 150-lap race. There's no need to be just driving in over your head into those turns there and getting people around like that.
And, I mean, it always helps to have some friends out there on the racetrack. That's why it's no mistake that you'll see the guys up there who are on the big teams, the Storms, the Vortex, the Fast Lane, those guys, Woodwrench as well, put them in the mix as well. All the teams here at CORA, and I know I left a bunch of them out, but I'm not going to scan through and try to remember them all here. But it helps, especially in these open set races where you and your team have been working on the set. The fixed ones, maybe not so much. You can help each other out with the strategy a little bit. Really on the setup side, having friends and being on a team always helps. It never hurt anybody to be known as the nice guy out there. It may not get you the checkered flag sometimes, but being the bad guy sometimes works. Who knows? Meanwhile, battle for the top spot. George Bark can go to the inside on Don Stevenson. Stevenson looking way out there on the light pavement where there's no rubber coming off the corner, and he'll actually be able to get a huge run. Nice defense move there by Stevenson. Bark to the inside. 47 thought about shutting the door. Can't going to do it this time, and they continue to battle it out.
47 is going to pinch the cautions out on the track one more time. Caution has been thrown by
the double zero of James Brown. Heavy smoke from the double zero machine. And the double zero of the 40 cars made contact. That's Brown. James Brown looks like he just slid up into the door of Dustin Loins. Slid to the inside. That machine got some heavy damage. And then the caution flag was thrown by race officials via there being two machines involved in that immediate incident there. So we go to caution flag conditions, and because of that, your current race leader, it was a $5 battle there, we'll call it, Carl, because it is going to be Don Stevenson who had the nose at the moment of caution there over George Bark. And because of that, he should receive the $5 bonus. No, these guys are coming down pit road. Do we see, is anybody else keeping an eye on the lap ticker there and they want to stay out and get some $5? Because once we take 75 through 76, that's a $5 payout for the halfway point. But it looks like these guys are leading down pit road. If you're listening to the broadcast and you want some money, stay out for a lap.
As we see Don Stevenson, he's got to go all the way down pit road here. He is going to be in the... He's going to be in the third pit stall as Don Stevenson comes down to the... Jacob Knight took home the check. Okay, well, looks like JJM Productions just paid himself.
Strategy. Charles Stark stays out as well. Dominique Diepol, a couple of guys staying out, but it is going to be Mr. Nye who gets that $5, which evidently he was donating. So put that right back into his pocket. Meanwhile, on pit road, 4 tire stop going on, and it is going to be dead heat. How about that? It looked like George Bark at the line. It is the line there with the green cones, and Bart just got that one, so he'll be the first one on pit road on the 4 fresh tires, but maybe Jacob was listening to us over the radio, and this time by he'll recash, I guess, or rather not even have to sign the check for $5 because he'll lead it at the halfway point this next time around. So as we work under caution, race control is giving their explanation for the reason of the most recent caution. We're going to step away at the halfway point for the second time tonight. You're watching the CORA Championship Online Racing Association Sunday Money Series live as always on LSR TV. And the second half of tonight's JJN Productions 225 at Homestead going to be coming up on the other side. If it's not them, somebody else could have punched their ticket. We're going back green. Pace car getting set to dive off. Back underway we go. The 16 of Jacob Nye stayed out. It wasn't just for the money. Well, he got that in his back pocket, but he leads us back to the start-finish line. Green flag in the air. Charles Starks, Dominique Dieball also staying out, along with the 54, our in-race reporter, Brendan Cruz-Malcive. Those guys staying out, and they're dropping back quick. George Bark leads the charge of guys on fresh tires down to the bottom. How long will it take them to catch Jacob Knapp at the front of the field?
I don't think it's going to take them all that long, because I think it's been proven here time after time now. This is about the second or third time we've seen somebody decide to stay out here on old tires, and they just get eaten up. Right now, here comes George Barks. George Barks is making it into second position. We got caution on the field one more time.
The 0-1, that's going to be John Pansula, who is around coming out of corner number 4, all by himself. That machine got sideways, and well, he did a good job of keeping it up in the wall. He was going to spin around that nose of the 21 Motorcraft Ford Mustang entry of Jason Halverson, and the 0-1 machine overcorrected it hard into the outside wall. Everybody else behind him was able to dive down low. This was 25th on back, so there wasn't an abundance of side-by-side racing back there that would have been immediately caught up in where that accident was. But we do quickly return to caution, and it was very quickly that George Bark was able to get up to P2 on those fresh tires. Jacob Nye's going to have his work cut out for him as he leads the race right now up at the top spot. But again, no tires versus the 4 that Bark is sitting on right now, who's going to be restarting right next to him.
Brandon Cruz dropped all the way back to the 15th position after not taking tires there. Just goes to show, man, these guys need to get in here and get tires put on these cars to make them stick, because these guys out here with new tires, they are just going to eat you alive. So Brandon Cruz Monsivice, he was one of the cars that did not take tires. He's all the way back to the 15th position. Dominic Dieball, however, he was able to stay up there a little bit. He only dropped back 1 position. He's still sitting in position number 4. Nathan Sedlak, he is in position number 5. Nicholas Doucette, he's sitting in position number 6. Ryan Borges, number 7. We have David Wink sitting here in the 8th position. Sal Accardi is in the 9th position, and Michael Churchma, he's sitting here in the 10th position. After his early troubles, he has made a nice rebound back up here to the front of the pack.
And I mentioned that 54 car lost a significant amount of time, or rather a significant amount of positions in a short amount of time on that most recent restart there, and he's going to come down pit road, still working on some pretty heavy damage. And as the team services that, we're going to try to cue him up on the radio one more time here, try to get another quick word with him. And Carl, we're getting word that you're going to try to cue him up right here.
Hey, Brandon, this is Carl up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Hey, Brandon, we noticed that you didn't take tires or anything there on that last caution. Any reason for that? What were you looking to try to pull off on that?
What I'm trying to get done is just get all my damage. Right now, my top speed is like 180 entering the turns. That's another reason why I stayed out last time, to just try to get some track position in case the caution came out like it did this time, so I'd have more time to get all the damage fixed and all that.
Well, taking a look at your small town computer car, it looks like they got the quarter panels pretty much pounded out on this thing. Does it seem like it's handling any better now that you're getting some of this damage fixed?
Yeah, it's handling way better than it was initially. When it first got damaged, it was pulling hard right, and I was afraid I couldn't even go out and log laps, but it's getting better, and I can steer it straight now.
Well, once again, Brandon, we want to thank you for taking the time and stopping in here and talking to us as we're still under pace laps. It looks like you're going to be going in and make another pit stop here, I guess, one more time, and see if you can get the rest of the damage fixed.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Like I said, I'm just going to try to get this small town computers machine a good finish. Right now with the damage, I'm at least hoping for a top 15. I'm going to try to make up some points in the CORA standing since I missed last week's race. But right now I'm pretty comfortable with the car. It's getting better. It's getting the speed back in it, and I got a fantastic setup that can run the bottom, so if I have an opportunity, I'm going to try to make some positions down there.
All right, Brandon. Well, we will try to get back in touch with you here again. We get another caution. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to you at the end of the race also here, maybe with a podium finish. What do you think?
That would be awesome, especially with the day that I'm having right now. I'd be so happy with a podium finish. So hopefully that'll happen.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll let you get back to your race here and enjoy. Be safe.
Yep. Don't go punching any chickens while I'm gone.
It has to be your chicken. Again, let's clarify. When I attempted to say punch their ticket, somehow chicken was put into the mix. So the key thing is you guys cannot just go around and punching random chickens. You have to punch your chicken. Otherwise, it's frowned upon in, I think, 47 states.
It's probably illegal in 47 states. Yeah, I was just going to say the exact same thing. But anyway, getting ready to go back to green here with Jacob and I. George Bark here on the front row. Don Stevenson, Dominic Diaball right behind. Nathan Sedlak and Nicholas Doucette in row number 3.
And I'm curious to see how well Jacob's able to hang on here because, again, was impressed at the amount of positions that he was able to gain. And I said I saw him back there in 21st, and I said that's somebody to keep an eye on. Was able to get back up, but I'm not sure if I agree entirely with this the tire strategy here because I only feel like that 16 is going to be going backwards. With the way the caution dip is spread out, who knows? They'll drop back to 5th, get a 4-tire stop, and be able to gain spawns when it's all said and done. Pace car down, nearly takes out the sand barrels there, but he's down pit road. Jacob not on the green, flying back underway. Second place going to go to George Bark. He'll have to go down to shut the door on the 47 to Don Stevenson. The 15 is the one that's going backwards. Dominic Dieball up high. Can't make that thing stick on the old tires. The 51's going to have to thread the needle. Nice move by Nicholas Doucette.
Looks like Jacob Nye is going to be able to hold on one more lap here for, well, maybe not one more lap as we're going into turn number 3 here. He is being looked hard on right now by George Barks. George wanting this lead back right now, and I think he's going to be able to do it.
39 is on the inside. That's Salicardi on Dominic Dieball, and up front, it is the battle for the lead now. George Bark going to go down to the inside. The 16 machine going backwards up on the high side. The 47 at Don Stevenson going to go to the inside as well. He has his teammate immediately in tow with him down on that inside lane. But George Bark is going to be able to go to the top spot. He wants to become our second 2-time winner on the season. He leads it right now. The 16 still struggling for grip. Ryan Borges, last week's winner now, to the inside. That's going to be a battle for 4th. And Carl, you've caught up with James Brown on pit road.
Hey James, how's it going, buddy? I unfortunately talking to you here way before I wanted to talk to you. What happened out there tonight?
You just can't run with these guys without any practice. These pretty talented bunch of guys out here. I had very little practice. Had a fast car, pretty fast set, but not my night.
Real quick, guys, want to jump in. There's trouble. The 39 of Salicardi. Heavy damage from 19th position. No caution.
Well, unfortunately, we're talking to you a lot earlier than what I wanted to here. A lot of damage. What exactly did you see out there? How was the car handling? It looked like you were very, very loose.
No, I was loose, and the longer I needed the long runs, and the car would come to me, and it was fast. If I would have been a little bit more patient, I would still be out there. Very impatient tonight, wanting to go and pay the price.
Well, you being the CEO here of CORA, we had a little bit of a car and venue change here. What was the thought behind that? Why did we go from the super late models, and how are we going to be looking at that in the future? Are we looking at bringing another super late model race into this season?
Well, unfortunately, no. I love the super late models. They're one of my favorite cars on here. But unfortunately, iRacing has still have some issues with the car, and we just voted to eliminate it for this season, for the rest of the season. We're going to replace all the super late model races. What's just tonight was the B car. I'm not sure what we're going to do in the chase race, but something else will be done. It's just so unfortunate because I do love that car, but there was just too much net code and so on and so forth with that vehicle that we opted not to run it anymore.
Well, thank you, James, for taking the time to stop and talk to us here. This is James Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Hate to see him here in behind the wall. Was enjoying watching him out there race.
Thanks,
back
Carl.
up to you, Everett.
Appreciate you guys, and special thanks again tonight to JJM Production.
That was Carl just now talking to James Brown, who's going to come home not the result that he was looking for, currently sitting in 35th, right at 31st position. And again, that machine is behind the wall. And an answer there, Carl, on the discussion we had earlier about the difference with the super late models obviously being changed. That's going to happen in the championship, so we will give any updates on that throughout the season for those that tune in regularly here on Sunday nights as far as what the schedule will look like in the future. And does that mean Ryan Borges unofficially maybe gets that Super Late Model Championship by winning the one and possibly only race, depending on the future of that chase race right now at the moment? George Bark was up front. He has now slipped back to third, and I'm getting tired of saying this, Carl, but it's the Storm Motorsports duo again. Stevenson and Sedlak going to take over those top 2 spots.
Well, talking about somebody who was up in the front there, Jacob Nye has dropped all the way back now to the 9th position after not taking tires. He has been passed by a bunch of cars, and right now he's going to be settling in here in front of the Michael Churchman machine. Dominic Dyball, he's also fallen back all the way to the 13th position, and I'm trying to find where Brandon Cruz Monsivice is all the way back now to 26th position, but as you've seen before, he was making some pit stops. They're trying to get that damage fixed on his car, and like you said, though, the Don Stevenson, Nathan Sedlak show is underway once again. We are back up here in the front with these guys, and they have just about a half-second lead right now over George Barks. George has kind of settled himself into the 3rd position as Don Stevenson gets a little bit sideways there coming off the turn, was able to collect it underneath him, though.
40 car going to be sideways. That's Dustin Loines hard into the inside wall. He's still in the grass. Does not appear that there's a caution on the way at the moment. Replay, we're working on getting that for you. Just another instant of the machine getting loose there, Carl. Not the first time we've seen it tonight. Just snapped around. 40's in the inside wall. He's now back up on track, down on that apron. Slow, he'll bring it down pit road, and tough break for Dustin.
Yeah, well, once again, it just snapped loose on him as he got down there going into turn number 4. Nothing he could do to save it. If he would have corrected it, he would have seen the exact same outcome as the 01 John Pansula did earlier there. He would have snapped it back out to the outside wall. Instead, he just thought better of it and just let her go on into the inside.
And again, still clean and green. Race officials do have the option to throw a manual caution if it is not automatically triggered by the iRacing sim if they deem it to be a multi-car incident. We've seen that a couple times tonight. That one, only one machine involved, nobody else making contact, and it was only the Loines machine that was able to go into the inside wall. He was able to keep it away from bouncing up into traffic, so again, nobody else involved. We stayed clean and green. Jacob Nye is going the wrong directions and was skeptical on that call. He has slid back to just in front of Mitchell Reeves. That's 12th position, still getting past on that, but one thing that he would like is a caution right now, everybody to come down. He'd be able to get back on 4 fresh tires and be able to take another run at it. We're going at it for second. George Bark took a peek to the inside and may have felt like that 35 machine would drive a little bit out of the mirror there, making a block, we'll call it. 35 machine still leads that. Bark gave him a little bit of a nudge into the corner, and now that 42 car with the run coming out of quarter number 4 are going to go to the inside, and they're going to fight it out for second.
Got to wonder just exactly how bad of a call that was by these guys not taking tires, because they're just constantly falling back through this field. What they made up, they've lost that plus now, as Dominic has dropped all the way back to the 16th position. He was running up around 10th position before that decision of not to take tires. Jacob Nye, he is all the way back to 13th position. He was up and running around the 6th position before he decided not to take tires. So that call may have probably been the worst call of the race, as we've seen these guys just constantly spin back to the field here, as Charlie Stark now is getting ready to look to the inside of Jacob Nye.
Yeah, there's battles going on abundantly throughout this field, and something that we need to keep an eye on now, just short of the 3rd mark in this race, start to really knock off these laps, and we're starting to get down to crunch time in this race. And again, the way these green flag runs have shown us, actually this probably being one of, if not the longest green flag run so far tonight, that we're going to see more yellows throughout the race. However, the longer we stay green, the more everybody gets spread out, and the cleaner the race it is. So who knows, but typically if you're a stats person, we're going to see another caution before this thing is done. George Bark right now is loving the green flag run. He clearly has a long run machine, was strong on the initial restart coming up here, and then the 47 and the 35 were able to get around him, but now he's slowly charging his way back through, and since he's gotten clear of Sedlak, really flying now, just half a car length off of Don Stevenson. Expect that 42 to try to make a move for the top spot here soon.
Going back to a little story we were talking about earlier there, you were saying about making friends here in iRacing and in CORA. One of the big things that we didn't touch on there with that friendship thing is the super speedways, man. You need a friend out there. You need somebody who's going to be willing to draft with you once they go back into the tracks like Talladega and Daytona, where it's an all draft race where you're going to be wanting to find somebody to team up with. Somebody that doesn't have a friend, what exactly do you think is going to happen to them? They're going to go straight to the back, and they're not going to be able to even get a sniff of the front of the pack.
Track position is very key as well, and these beat cars so momentum based. How about the George Barker machine? Got a little bit of a run call. The 47 doesn't want to give this one up. Don Stevenson holding his ground there. George got into his left rear a little bit. No major contact, just letting him know that he's there. And this is almost the same way that he made the pass on Sedlak, almost maybe forcing a mistake. And now the 47 machine is letting George Bark know that he'll give it to him. So 47 car going to stay high. The 42 goes to the bottom. And new race leader, the Red Bull Racing Chevrolet entry of George Bark to the top spot. George thanks Don over the radio for letting him go. And that 42 car is going to go to the high side. Just said that he knew he was faster, didn't want to bother with it, and now we have a change for the lead.
Speaking of the draft, that's something that you don't think of on these kind of tracks, but the draft does come into play on these straightaways. When I was out there in the earlier practice, I was just giving it a test to see how much speed you actually pick up in the draft. You actually pick up about 2 to 3 miles an hour on these straightaways here in the draft. So if you get in behind somebody, you're able to actually suck right up on their back bumper there, and that's exactly what George Barks was able to do there on Don Stevenson. He was just able to keep in his draft, and he was able to suck right up on the back end. And what it did is actually got Don Stevenson a little bit loose, and I don't think he appreciated getting the back bumper beat on it like he was, because he's right now repaying that to Don Stevenson every time they go down, to George Barks. Don Stevenson is knocking on the back bumper of George Barks every time they come down the straightaway.
And sometimes also there's a lot of ways you can go about it. And one of the things I said at the top of the show that I really haven't seen in these B cars, it is prominent in the A cars. So I haven't really seen it tonight, so I guess I was wrong on that prediction as the leaders work around a lap machine, is the fact that the outside can really hang in there. We've seen it. We've seen it a couple times tonight, but not in the abundance that I was expecting. Race control will give it a couple of drivers a warning to keep the race tratter clear so people can communicate with other drivers in the sim. But I've completely lost track of what I was trying to talk about. The battling that's been going on here as well has been very exciting. But you got to just start up in front of the field. You can catch somebody, but make it a pass, I said, is the harder thing. And it's a two-way street. It's progressive banking racetrack. It's easier to work both lanes than some others, but it's really not all that prominent. Some of the ways you can go about making a pass is move him out of the way. We've seen times where, look at the 47 of Don, he's actually on that back bumper, and he let George go because George was faster. Maybe that's a little bit of a draft that you mentioned earlier, Carl, because he's been able to keep with him since he's got behind him. You can give that guy a nudge, give him a couple taps, let him know that he's there, and maybe he'll let you go. You can also try to force an error, stick the nose to the inside, even though you're not there. Make that guy look in the mirror, hope that he maybe messes up his corner entry, or just gives you the spot thinking that you're there. There's a lot of different mind games that can go into making a pass, and we may have another pass for the lead. Don Stevenson to the inside. We're going to be door-to-door to corner number 4.
Once again, Don Stevenson does not get the lead on that lap, but he does going into turn 1 as he goes really close there. George Barks almost getting into the right rear quarter panel there of Don Stevenson as Don Stevenson makes that pass stick coming out of turn number 4, going down the backstretch now. One more time, looks like George Barks now is going to get back into that, we'll call it the suck zone there, and he's going to get sucked right up on that back bumper again one more time of Don Stevenson. And that's something we're going on board here with George Barks right now as we see how he's doing this. He's just getting right up in there, getting in that slipstream, and he's able to get right back up on that back bumper. That's why you're not seeing them losing ground on each other too awful much, because they're able to do that on this track. That's, like I said, you don't see it too much on the shorter tracks like this, but these straightaways are long enough. These cars, the way they are shaped, the draft is very, very prominent in these vehicles.
And again, I want to thank the title sponsor on tonight's race, JJN Productions, with $30 total. Well, now $25 because Jacob Nye himself was able to take home the halfway leader bonus, but $25 we'll say up for grabs for everybody else. $10 to the winner, $10 to second place, and $5 also, which will be tabulated post-race to the lowest finisher on the lead lap with the fewest amount of incident points. Everybody following that?
I got it. Of course, I have it written down here, so.
It's a mouthful to get through. You got to be lowest on the lead lap with the least amount of incident points. And
we got another fight for the lead. George Bart's going to take a look to the inside one more time, come down the straightaway, going into turn 1, and he's going to make it stick. He did the exact same thing there. He was just able to get that draft. And once again, we got a lead change here. George Barks heads back up to the lead with that 42 car. Sorry for interrupting you, sir.
Go for it. Hey, they were going to go at it, and George Bark was able to get the job done on that cycle through. And maybe 5 more laps, we'll see the 47 go at it, because these guys, they're having fun right now. They're just swapping up the top spot, and because of that, they really haven't been able to pull away a lot from Nathan Sedlak than if they just mind their P's and Q's and ran single file. It's only half a second back to that 35 of Sedlak, but the gap is really fourth on back. The Vortex entry of Ryan Borges is 2.2 seconds back from fourth. Him on bike, you got David Wink, Nicholas Doucette, Damon Gilbert, Dustin Lee, Michael Churchman, Joel Wood rounding out the rest of the top 10. And we got one more pit stop to go. The 50 machine has announced that he's going to be coming down this next time around, so possibly the first of the final stops. Yeah, that's Dustin Lee from 8th.
But I've been watching the Ryan Borges machine here, watching his times. He has actually picked up quite a bit. He was almost 3 seconds back. He has closed it down to 2.5 seconds now on the Nathan Sedlak machine. So his car must be a long-run car. As you heard a couple of different drivers say that they have long-run setups on their cars, and this is one of the longest runs we've seen so far, where it looks like we're going to make it through an entire pit stop cycle. So we're going to start seeing the cars who have the long run setups working better. And it looks like now that George Bart's long run setup is working for him, because he's now pulled a little bit away from Don Stevenson. Don's not able to get back into that slipstream anymore. He's not able to draft and suck back up on him. So his car might be going away a little bit.
31 of Dustin Lee, he is down and away from pit road, 4 tires and fuel. Nothing crazy in that regard. The 40 car is up high. George Bark is going to be able to clear that machine, and George Bark actually talking with the lap cars that are going to be in front of him. The 54, Brendan Monsive, is our in-race reporter. We've talked to him a couple of times tonight, and he's letting George Bark know to just tell him where he wants him to go. So once that 42 machine catches him, there's going to be no issues for Bark getting around him and getting clear. You see he closes in right now on the number 54 car. So always nice to see that kind of sportsmanship amongst drivers.
Yeah, you don't get to see that in the actual racing, because the drivers, except for in the teams, they're not able to talk to each other like they are here in the sim. The sim, it makes it a little bit nicer because you can get on there and tell these drivers exactly where you're going to be able to go to pass me. I'm coming up. You're coming up behind me quick. I'm going to go ahead and go high, let you down underneath me. It's really nice to be able to do that. It helps keep the driving cleaner. Helps keep the lap cars up out of the way, because these guys are able to just talk back and forth to each other, unlike what they can do in real racing.
And there's 2 different ways that they can communicate. Also, there is the driver communication, and for those that don't know iRacing, we'll explain a little bit deeper here as we continue to see a couple people start to trickle down to start these pit stops. Damon Gilbert coming in from P7. There's the in-sim chatter, which you can also create a team channel in, but there's the all teams channel, which you can talk. We can hear it up in the booth. The spotters can hear it. The other drivers, everybody can hear it. That's what the race officials want you to be short and sweet. When I said that they were warning drivers and keeping that channel open, that's for letting guys know you're coming down pit road, giving them a heads up. Also, whether it's in an in-sim channel or also on the team speak, which everybody uses, as we use the broadcasters, what the drivers use to talk to each other with, that's where they're in their team rooms, where they can talk to their teammates immediately. Not everybody gets to hear their strategy calls on that one. So being able to talk to other drivers as well as, individually with your own teammates, it's a nice balance, I'd say.
Take a look here. There's a couple more cars coming down pit road, and kind of missed who they were.
I know we had a couple.
We got a car smoking out here on the track. The Chad Wilson car is smoking heavily coming out of turn number 2 here. He's smoking heavily coming down the backstretch. He's going to have to get down off the racetrack here. He is just a bug screen out there right now. So making it really, really sketchy for these drivers as they're coming down there, seeing this smoke, not knowing exactly what's going on. But once again, that's where that in-race chat comes in, where they can actually talk and say, hey, I have some problems. And he's smoking really heavily heading down into the pits.
He had some front-end damage, and I think what may have caused that is the fact that because of that front-end damage, your temps will start to go high, and it just went into one, didn't hit the wall, didn't do anything. Just black smoke started pouring out of the back of that machine. So he's down pit road trying to get whatever service, if any, he can get done to get that engine fixed on his 01 machine of John Pansula. And another thing with the smoke pouring out of the back of the car, Carl, it almost hurts you if you have a computer that can have the graphics settings turned a little bit higher, because if everything's not turned on, then you're fine. But for guys that have their graphics really cranked up, they have a system that can handle it, their windshields are going to get pretty dirty if they get caught behind somebody smoking like that. They're going to get a nasty glare, and I mean, at some points it can become hard to see.
Looks like Chad Wilson's going to be the next car as he climbs up out of the car there. He's going to be the next car to put it behind the wall as he has blown his engine. He has no more repairs. Chad Wilson is now out of the race. He is the 27th car as it sits right now, but that's going to change, being that there are a couple cars that are still on the racetrack here. Salicardi has been in the pits now for the last 10 or 15 laps. He must have some heavy damage, but he is staying in his car. So that just tells us that he is trying to get the damage fixed. He needs to get out here and get as many points as he possibly can. So he's not going to be leaving right away. He's right now sitting here 31 laps down in the 29th position. John Pansula, he has climbed out of the car right now. So he is another driver who is out for the night. So right now, the only car sitting on pit road that's been there for a while is Salicardi. It looks like he is going to be trying to get back out on this racetrack. Like I said, it's early in the season, but every single point counts. So he's going to try to get it back out there and get as many points as he can to finish off this day.
The top 5 continue to stay out on track. Ryan Borges is going to lose P4 to David Wink. And the 51 now of Nicholas Doucette is going to try to get another spot on him as well. That would be the battle for the number 5 spot. But again, still awaiting our race leader, George Bark, to come down pit road, and we are with inside 30 to go. So we're going to take our final commercial break during the race at action, and when we come back, we're going to close out these green flag stops and race her down to the checkered flag. You're watching CORA Championship Online Racing Association and the Sunday Money Series on LSR TV. The final races and the final laps here, the JJN Productions 225, going to be coming up on the other side. Well, the strategy is abundant down on pit road as we got 4 tires and 2, which are going to headline the drivers that have already come down pit road and made their final stops. The battle for the checkered flag right now is about 8th position. You have Joel Wood, Jeffrey Smith, Scott Bailey, he's sliding down another spot. Dale Adkins, Patrick Skyhill, James Wilkins, and Jason Halverson. The top 7 have yet to come down pit road. Bailey is down pit road right now. That makes the battle for what would eventually become the checkered flag between Don Stevenson and George Bark. It was a 2-tire, 8.2 second pit stop for Don Stevenson, a 4-tire, 13.5 second stop for George Bark. That means they are divided by 3.4 seconds on the track. And Carl, I thought that George was going to be able to get it, but right now running pretty much identical lap times, and who knows, it looks like Don Stevenson may pull the strategy card right and take home the checkered flag in tonight's JJN Productions 225. He still has 19 to go. That time by the start finish on. Going to get an update on everybody's time, and they're starting to knock in. It was a 31.6 for Stevenson, a 31.4 for George Bark. It's going to be close.
Yeah, George Bark there, he is running a little bit faster speeds right now than that of Don Stevenson, and he's only got a very few handful of laps here to try to get this done. He's still got to get around the car of Jason Halverson. Jason Halverson is going to go ahead and move to the inside and let George Bark go on by, which is going to put no cars between Don Stevenson and Halverson. Well, except for some lap ones, but I guess they count, huh? But yeah, George Barks there, he is slowly starting to reel in Don Stevenson.
And George is going to lose some time here getting around that 86. Yeah, Eric Sharp told him to go low, try to get out of his way, but it's still costing him time. Joel Wood has been down. He is now off of pit road. The current race leader is Dale Adkins. We still have him. Patrick Skyhill are the only guys that have yet to come down pit road. Jeffrey Smith trying to come down pit road, spun it out, 25 car around on the entry, no caution, gets it back going. That's going to cost him a lot of time. And now the gap, we take a look between Stevenson and Bark, still at 3.5 seconds. The 42 is not liking the fact that he still has a couple of lap cars in between him and Don, and can't, just straight up race him. Marcus Babb and Jacob Nye currently in between him and Don. Something that Stevenson does not want to see is a caution.
I was just going to say that. What would the implications have been there if we would have had a caution on that spin? That would have pretty much everything that Don Stevenson did with that pit stop there, that tire strategy, that would have knocked it straight out the window. We got him 3 wide here coming out of turn number 2. Coming down the backstretch here, they're able to get it straightened out. And guess who was a part of that? Is George Bark was a part of that 3 wide situation there for just a split second. They were able to get the lap car out of the way now, as George now only sees the back end of Don Stevenson. He has no other cars between him and Don, but he still has that about 4-second interval between the two of them. Dale Atkins still has yet to fit. He's still out here on the track, but he is being run down right now by Don Stevenson. So I think Dale Atkins needs to get in here and get 4 fresh ones on before he goes and gets passed by the leaders, because they're going to catch him, no doubt about that.
Yeah, they're going to catch him before he even cycles down through pit road. We got trouble down the back straightaway, trying to get a number on that. Somebody is around. We're hearing it over the radio. Don't see anybody at the moment. The 54 queued up and said that somebody was wrecking down the back straightaway. Don't see anybody around. Maybe they escaped out. We'll try to keep an eye. Don't see anything, though. Maybe the 54 is hallucinating there. Maybe there's a break in the firewalls, getting some fumes in the machine, because don't see anything on the back straightaway. It looks like we stay clean and green for the most part. The gap is right now at, well, it's 5.2 seconds from Stevenson to Adkins that time by. George Bark going to knock off some time. It's still, I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. That time by, just about 13 to go.
As Dale Atkins now, he's going to go ahead and peel it off, go down pit road here. It's going to give the sole lead now to Don Stevenson. Once again, Don Stevenson still has that lead, about a 3-second lead over George Bark. George is going to really start to get this thing underneath him and get it moving if he has any chance of catching catching Don for this win. But he is doing it. He is trying as hard as he can. He has dropped it down to a 3.5 second deficit now.
It's as soon as he got to that clean air that he was able to start taking off time. But, I mean, Stevenson's going into 3. George Bark's still halfway down the back straightaway. He's not going to get there in time if this stays green, and or unless Don Stevenson has some sort of a problem self-inflicted. Brandon Malsive is back down pit road. There is a machine that is currently in between Don and George. That is Everett Lane. That is a lap machine that George Bark is going to have to close up on right now. Not used to seeing Everett Lane as a lap machine. Carl has not had a good run tonight, not what he was looking for. He sits in 25th.
This has not been a great season for Everett Lane here. He's had some issues here in the past couple of races, which has knocked him back a little bit in the points. But as we speak, though, Don Stevenson is able to put another car between him and George Barks as he gets around the 40 car and puts the 40 car lap down.
And that time by 10 laps to go. The gap, 3.2 seconds. At this point, I believe you're going to have to call it Don Stevenson's race to lose. And he may lose it because of something that is out of his control. Again, if a caution were to fly, which, knock on wood, not saying it'll happen, not saying it isn't, I'm just saying it tends to happen more times than not, a late race caution that really throws a curveball into these. The good thing about iRacing is we're not going to get a Jacques Debris, an invisible debris caution. So the 42 does not have to, or rather the 47 does not have to worry about that. Don Stevenson is worrying about some lap machine. He's running around the 95. That's going to be Dale Adkins. He'll go to the bottom, get around him. But I think George Bark just too far back, not enough time.
Yeah, and like you said, Don Stevenson is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's getting these cars in between them. So every single car that Don Stevenson passes, George Barks has to pass also. So that little tiny bit that George gains whenever Don needs to get around a car, he loses because he has to go around the same said car.
Nicholas Doucette right now sitting in P3. The number 51 car is working some right side damage. Trying to see how he got up there. It was via a 2-tire stop as well. So Doucette Stevenson pulling the 2-tire calls. I think it's what's going to be not only beneficiary to the 21 of Doucette, but also I think is what's going to give Stevenson this win, because I think if they both take 4 tires and they're right up next to each other, I say George Bark would win that nose-to-nose neck and neck battle. But I mean, you can't say much more than what Don Stevenson has done this season. You talked about the struggles that Everett Lane has had. If Stevenson is able to close this one out here, Carl, no, he's not the points leader. Ryan Borges is, but this would be race win number 3 in race number 5 on the year for Don.
Now he's going around the number 15 there of Dominic Dyball. Dominic Dyball is going to yield the low side there, let Don Stevenson get around him, and that's going to put Dominic Dyball now 1 lap down. And I guess we're going to have to say the move of the race is going to have to be the 2-tire stop there by Don Stevenson, because George Barks just does not have enough time. Like you said, unless something happens to Don, Barks does not have enough time to make it up here and catch Don Stevenson. Even if he did catch him, he wouldn't have enough time to catch him and pass him. So I'd have to say this race is just about over here now, because we only got a couple more laps left. Don Stevenson leading this race with a 2.7 second lead over George Barks. Nicholas Doucette, he's got he's back another 8 seconds, but behind him is still another couple of seconds to David Winks. And Nicholas Doucette, one of the youngest drivers out here on the racetrack, he's going to come home with a 3rd place finish after a 17th place start.
And now that we're at 5 to go, and as Don Stevenson rounds at a quarter number 4, it is going to be 4 laps to go, and that is the magic number, because now if a caution flag is to fly, this race will end under yellow conditions. The gap, 2.8 seconds back to George Bark. So again, unless the caution is for the 47 or something happens to Don Stevenson, then this race is going to go to the 47 Storm Motorsports gang. And again, you know, we talked about the advantage of teammates and whatnot, Carl. Can't say much more on the Storm gang on how well they've started off their season as well as a collective.
Oh yeah, Storm has been really, really strong this season. Like you said, Don Stevenson has a couple of wins here now, and we're also looking at the other drivers like Nathan Sedlick. He's been doing really, really well this season, and yeah, you can't. What can you say? It's important to have teammates out here because they can feed off each other on setups and help each other out when it comes to drafting and different things like that. So I think that's the way to go. That's the way of the it's been the way of the future is team racing.
And again, 2 laps to go, 3 miles to the checkered flag that last time around for Don Stevenson. 14 cars have survived the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap right now is Charles Starks. He is still not guaranteed that because Stevenson is not too far behind him as far as putting him a lap down, but impressed with the amount of cars too, despite the early carnage. These guys really got going here. A lot of exciting racing, and impressed at how many guys are left on the lead lap as we get the white flag.
Now you got to remember, when they have that the car that finishes the lowest on the lead lap with the fewest number of incident points is going to win an extra $5. So these guys here, like Charlie Starks and Mitchell Reeves, they're wanting to try the best they can to stay on this lead lap.
And it's also $10 for first, $10 for second. The spot you want, though, is P1. It's been occupied by, and now it's going to be sealed by, the 47 at a quarter number 4. The 3rd time this season, checkered flag, the JJN Productions 225. Don Stevenson does it again. Another trip to victory lane. What a drive that Don has had in these first 5 races. Not only has he had 3 wins so far, Carl, but it was a top 3 last week as well. Great runs.
Well, not enough can be said about trying to have the best start you can to a season. Every one of these points is very, very valuable towards the end of the season and the championship run. Don Stevenson is really, really doing exactly what he needs to try to get up there and take the CORA championship this season.
He'll have a chase to get through, but you can never start off the season on a worse note than taking home about 60% of the checkered flags that we have seen so far this year. Top 3 going to park him on the front straightaway. Stevenson with the checkers. George Bark second. Nicholas Doucette is able to just hang on the 3rd by about half a second over David Wank, who mounted a late race charge. And we're going to step away and get things all prepped here to talk to those top 3 finishers. Post-race show coming up on LSR TV. Back live, the Homestead-Miami Speedway, where 150 laps of a lot of beating and banging and good, hard, clean racing has come to a close, and it is going to be Don Stevenson, who is the first one to the checkered flag. He takes it all home tonight, but first, we're down on pit road. We've caught it with the driver of the number 51 machine, Nicholas Doucette. It's a third-place finish for you, Nick, and you had to fight for it there. David Wink almost got it from you there at the end. Walk us through what the thought was behind that two-tire call at the end.
Phew. I just, I don't even know really what to say there. All I knew was I just took two tires there at the end, and David Wank was really catching up to me really quickly there, and I just drove for everything, like for all I could. It was a good race.
This race got off to a little bit of a rocky start caution-wise, but we saw a lot of drivers be able to start back in the pack and make up a lot of time. You started back in 17th, finished third. I know you had to fight through it. You got a little bit of right-side damage. How are you able to make your way through the field and get this finish?
Well, about on lap 2, I got involved in a little incident, so I just got it repaired, and I kept on trying to drive through the field. It was tough to get around a bunch of people. Then, eventually, when we had that huge green flag run, I'd hit the wall, and when I went to go pit, I just saw the damage. I said, oh, whatever, just let it be.
A solid start for you on your campaign. It's going to be your second top 5, fourth top 10 in 5 starts. Still looking for that first trip to Victory Lane. Michigan is going to be in 1 week's time. How do you like that track?
I haven't really tested with it yet, but I'm pretty familiar with it, and hopefully I can get it to Victory Lane.
All right, Nicholas, well, before we let you get back to the team sponsors and shout-outs, who do you want to thank?
I'd like to thank Michael Van Ostel for the setup. It's an awesome setup. And I'd like to thank all my teammates at True Speed Motorsports.
All right, well, once again, congratulations on the third-place finish here, Nicholas, and good luck rolling forward as this season. Still young, but we're starting to close down right now. You're in for the chase. So good luck there, and we'll hope to see that 51 machine up front here moving forward.
Thank you.
That is tonight's third-place finisher, Nicholas Doucette. And now down on pit road with our second-place finisher. Carl, you've caught up with the driver of that 42 car, George Bart.
Yeah, George, great race today, buddy. Came home second place with that car, and some strategy out there is what actually got you beat today. We had you pegged for the win. How was that car today?
Hey, Carl. The car was great. Yeah, I got beat in the pits. Not much more to say than that. But it was a good race. Me and Don were pretty equally matched there. It looked like I was a little bit better on the long run, but who knows? You know, I'll take second. It's a good points finish. I'm happy.
Well, we did see you guys out there swapping the lead several times there. How much of it? I did mention it during the broadcast. How much of a play did drafting come into this? It looked like every time that you got passed by Don, you were able to draft right back up on him. Is that what you were doing? Is just using the draft for your advantage?
I was kind of just trying to wear him out. That's why I was like slow down and go back him and stuff. I was just trying to make sure he'd wear his equipment out. Then after a while there, you know, I just went on, you know, just went as hard as I could there until the pit stop, but it was strategy a little bit.
Well, it was looking like you had a long run set up underneath you there. It looks like once you were able to get around him on that last run before the pit stops, you were able to pull away. Is that what we're looking at there? We were kind of assuming that you were running a long run setup because you look kind of loose there at the beginning of a set.
Yeah, it was definitely a long run. You know, I want to make sure I can go at least 30 laps. Just came up a little short here on this last 25 lap run, but definitely great in the long run. I really wouldn't slow down. I would back up only maybe like 5/10 from my best lap on a long run, which is pretty good, and keep it under 32-second lap. It was definitely, car was really good today.
Well, congratulations on your second place run here. We're going to be going into Michigan next week. How are we looking for there? You got anything for them for next week?
We'll see. It's a fixed setup. It's similar to this racetrack, so these racetracks are kind of my strong suit. I've always been good on a track where you just got to roll through the corner for the most part. So hopefully, you know, we can come out of there with top 5 finish and move up a spot or 2 in the points.
Well, before we let you go here, who makes it work for you out there?
Today I was on my own. Gotta thank my friends with bad intentions there. They were kind of with me the whole race. I want to give a shout out to them, and really I just want to say congratulations to Don, Storm Motorsports. You know, they outsmarted me there a little bit, but congratulations to the winner.
And there you have it, our second place finisher of George Barks. We're going to send it now back up to Evan Pasoko with the winner.
This seems to become a reoccurring thing. Victory lane here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. This racetrack typically reserved for the championship. I know, Don, you got the championship in your eyes now. Third checkered flag in 5 starts. Congratulations. The question on everybody's mind was that two-tire call thought through, or was it more of, a last-second decision because it's what got you that checkered flag by 2.8 seconds?
I wasn't really thinking about the whole run there, but when George got past me there and I saw that he was a little bit faster than me, I figured, well, I got to try something because I wasn't going to beat him on 4 tires. And then just looking at how many laps were left and saw that we only had about 15 laps left, and that was less than 1 can of gas. I figured it was worth the gamble, and I kind of guessed at what adjustment to make with it, and fortunately I made the right guess because it was really, really good there and with the 2 tires. And I didn't know if George took 2 or 4. And I thought he took 4 because when the pit stop started, he was a second ahead of me. And when we came out of the pits, I had a 3-second advantage, and I didn't know how that happened, but I wasn't going to question it either. So I'm happy to have the win here. I think he had the fastest car though.
He took that 4-tire call and was unable to chase you down. You got the job done, but I've asked you this the last few weeks as well, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. What a start. What does that mean? And not only you as well with your third one, but we were talking about your teammates all race long, Sedlak, the Vortex guys as well, being so strong, especially in these open set races, has to give you guys a lot of confidence.
Yeah, it sure does. We've, it's kind of benefiting from the hard work that all of us put in over the summer. We spent those 4 off months that we had there, or 5 off months there, just whenever the official series went to a car and track combination that we'd be running here, we hit those tracks hard, and we would spend hours working on setups, and they got changed a little bit with this new bill, but a lot of it we were still able to carry over, and it just came to fine tuning it during the week. And this thing was on the rails. I thought we had the car to beat there throughout the week, but George really was strong today, and I didn't have anything for him on equal tires there, so I had to try to pull something out, and we were able to make it happen.
Yeah, the most recent swap here, changing tonight's race from what was scheduled to be the super late models at Iowa to this B car at Homestead. The next 3 races are going to be in the B car as well, so that quick change really didn't phase you. You were able to get the job done. It is going to be Michigan in 1 week's time. Are we going to see that 47 dominating again in that one? How confident are you rolling into the Irish Hills of Michigan?
I love Michigan, especially in this B car. That's where I got my first career win there last season, so hopefully we can go there and defend our title there.
All right, well, everybody watch out because the 47 is looking forward to Michigan. Don, before we let you go, sponsors and shout-outs to everybody who made it happen for you in the gang.
Well, got to thank Storm Motorsports and Vortex Motorsports. They're a great group of guys there, and we showed our strength tonight, and we've showed it all season so far. And between our 2 teams, we've won the last 4 races in a row. So hopefully we can keep that stretch going. Got to thank my beautiful wife, who puts up with me every day and lets me race here and everything, and can't thank her enough. And my family, we had internet connection problems there last week, and that was pretty disappointing because I was really hoping to win last week also, but it just goes with the territory, and I got to thank my mom and dad for giving me the idea to strengthen my internet here, and we did that this week, and hopefully we won't have any problems the rest of the season with that. Got to thank also CORA, putting on a great league here, and I really liked the call they made this week, extending the race a little bit, making it 150 laps. It was really a fun race and made it a lot more strategy involved with it. And got to thank you guys, LSR TV and Evan and Carl. I mean, you guys do a great job every week, and looking forward to watching the telecast tomorrow.
We appreciate the kind words, and we also like the LSR TV being represented there on the quarter panel. But if things keep going the way they're going, Don, I think you're going to have a lot of fun this season. So once again, congratulations on yet another trip to Victory Lane. You're going to be going to the bank tomorrow night, another $10 bonus as well via the donations tonight made on behalf of JJN Productions. So congrats once again to you and also the whole Storm and Vortex gang, and we'll be seeing you guys in Michigan in 1 week's time.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, J&J Productions there, Jacob Nye, for putting up the bonus there. I gladly accept it.
That is for the third time, Carl. Maybe we should just, my instinct, keep Don up here in the broadcast booth because, again, and don't want to beat a dead horse, but the Storm Vortex guys, they've been doing such a great thing. As he said, they're those two teams affiliated directly. The only person that's been able to trump them all year long was George Bark at Daytona. He got second tonight, so we're really starting to see the cream rise to the top very early on in the season as Race 5 is in the bags.
Yeah, Storm Motorsports is a very, very strong team this season. Like you said, the only other team that's been able to get up there and do anything with him has been George Barks, and George did finish second tonight. So come down to the wire here, the end of the season, which is still quite a long ways away. But like we were talking about earlier, every single point counts. And with these guys winning all these races and finishing in the top positions like this, top 10 positions. These are probably going to be, I would have to say, that some of the drivers that we're going to be watching when it comes down to the last races of this season for the championship.
Yeah, it is Homestead-Miami Speedway that is in the books tonight, but not for championship weekend quite yet. As again, only race 5 so far has been in the books, and it has been an exciting way to kick off the season with CORA on LSR TV. The final race results here tonight: Don Stevenson, George Bark, Nicholas Doucette. We talked to them. They are the top 3 finishers: David Wink, Damon Gilbert, Nathan Sedlak, 4th through 6th, 7th to Dustin Lee, Michael Churchma got 8th, Colton Berkey in 9th, Joel Wood would round out the top 10 in those categories as well. 14 total finished on the lead lap.
Yeah, we have Ryan Borges, Scott Bailey, Mitchell Reeves, they're 10 through 13, and then we had Charlie Starks, Dominic Dyball, he finished in the 15th, 1 lap down. Then we had Dale Atkins, Marcus Babb, and Patrick Skyhill finishing in the 18th position. James Wilkins, and then Jacob Nye finishing in 20th.
Continuing on down the list here, 21st to Jeffrey Smith. 22nd position would belong to Tim Johnston. Jason Halverson in 23rd. In-race reporter Branson Mulsivace, not the finish that he wanted in the 54 car. 24th position, 25th to Everett Lane, Dustin Loynes, 26th, 27th, Eric Sharp, Chad Wilson, 28th, 29th, Sal Accardi, 30th to John Pansula, and rounding out the field, 31st through 33rd, James Brown, Jonathan McMinn, and Martin Porter, respectively. Carl, before we pack up the equipment and head on to Michigan, your final thoughts on tonight's race?
Well, it was everything that we thought it was going to be. These guys put on a great show today. We had that nice long green flag run there at the end of the race, which showed Don Stevenson able to bring out the 2-tire pit stop out of the bag there, win this race. George Barks just sounded like he was kind of dumbfounded on that one. I think he thought he was going to be able to catch him with the 4 tires, and well, it was everything that we thought it was going to be. It was a great race. These guys did a great job out there with a slick track and loose cars. They were still able to finish with.
If it's not them, somebody else could have punched their ticket. You gotta love it when there's every factor that plays into a race. You had the pit strategy, you had the late race long green flag run. We had a couple of cautions where we saw some people that we expected to get good finishes tonight kind of get mixed up with each other, and not much more you could ask for. It is the Storm Motorsports dominance that continues as Don Stevenson takes home yet again another checkered flag. That does it. Thanks to everybody for tuning in on behalf of everybody at CORA and everybody here at LSR TV as well. Executive producer Laura Lawson and the production hauler, as always, pushing the buttons and getting us on air here tonight. Carl Jones for joining me up in the broadcast booth. My name is Evan Pizzoco. Thank you for tuning in. Next race, we'll see you 1 week's time. Race 6 will be heading for the Michigan International Speedway.